Program at the 2017 Duxford Air Festival. This, from the Bronco demo team in Belgium, is the North American Rockwell OV-10B Bronco. It'll be getting into the air in pretty short order, because that was one of the essential attributes of this aeroplane in operational service. In the early 1960s, there was increasing interest on the part of the US military in a tough, easy to maintain and easy to operate close support aircraft, able to support troops on the ground in future conflicts. It led to a tri-service requirement between the US Air Force, US Marine Corps and US Army. And it was a rigorous requirement indeed. The aircraft had to have 2 crew members. It had to be capable of withstanding between +8 and -3 G. It had to be able to fly off aircraft carriers, have a top speed of 350 miles an hour, carry 2,400 pounds of cargo or 6 paratroops and stretchers, and so on. And this design from North American Aviation, this very distinctive twin boom design, was the result. And it entered service in time to see action in the conflict in Southeast Asia. It was indeed in the poppy markings on this aircraft, honouring the fact that 2017 is the centenary of the main battles in Flanders during the First World War, that the region in which this aircraft is based. Tony De Bruyne then, on the North American Rockwell OV-10B Bronco, opening the flying programme at the 2017 Duxford Air Festival.
All you have to do is visit www.reddevilsonline.com with the link to the box. What that'll mean is you'll come down to where we are based in Raven and you'll be able to get strapped to one of us, where you'll leave a plane at roughly 14,000 feet and fall for a minute before the videos we need for our various websites. Please, ladies and gentlemen, coming into land now is Corporal Stephen Hanley. Next up we have Sergeant Dean Walton.
Oh yeah, right.
If you look just by the Union Jack flag, we have our canopy formations team. Today they are performing a by-hand for you. They're also flying the parachute regiment flag, which we always have the honour of flying.
Big flag. Look at this guy coming down really fast in smoke.
Coming into land on the right side of the arena, we have Corporal Nathan Conley.
See them? Hey, take a video.
Okay.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, when Corporal Mike French comes into land with that flag, you will see the sheer size of it. Please, a massive round of applause. On the left side of the arena, we have our canopy formations team. They would have been working extremely hard up there to pull that formation off. Shortly, they shall cut away and go into their own landing patterns. As you can see, Mike French is working very hard to land that flag. A massive round of applause. Our canopy formations team. And our last man down, our cameraman, Corporal Ian Kane.
Cameraman.
It's finished. Now running in from the left, Flight Lieutenant Ryan Lawton in the Typhoon FGR4. The throttles, am I feeling for the pilot? Now as he descends back down to 100 feet, he'll accelerate to just under the speed of sound for a high-speed pass.
She wants time.
The EJ200 engines will then climb the jet away into a tight spiral, and the thrust to weight ratio is about 1.2 to 1, meaning that the power generated, you could actually accelerate vertically out from here. Descend down to 100 feet for our final pass. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the 2017 Royal Air Force Typhoon display. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here over the last 2 days.
And we look at their waving stride. Putting smoke on now. And here they are pitching in the 2017 Breitling Windwalkers. Up into an initial loop. They were diving in at about 150 miles an hour. And at those sort of speeds, it's very, very difficult for the girls. Ready for a break.
With the wind in the direction that it is, we're about to all get a lungful of this aerobatic smoke, but I'm reliably informed that it's a composition that is pretty close to baby oil.
They can see all the way through the display pretty much, even when they're on their sides like that. And this is a display where audience participation is pretty much essential. Two highly experienced display pilots at the controls today. Leading the pair is Dave Barrell, who started out by flying parachute jump air. An aficionado of vintage flying back in towards each other for another cross.
Give them a wave, they can't see you.
My cockpit lady. Along with the Spitfire, Hurricane and P-47, one of the types most indelibly associated with Duxford Airfield's wartime history. On the roll now, the North American TF-51D Mustang. B-17 Flying Fortress missions were undertaken by the Royal Air Force. The aircraft, captained today by Dutchman Peter Kuipers.
That was more scary than enemy flag.
But your time off, you managed to enjoy that in East Anglia, did you? When you just let that go by. When you had time off, you managed to enjoy some of the sights and excitement in East Anglia.
We go to the local pubs, and but we flew almost every day. So they never gave us a chance to realize what we were into, and they kept us at a high point of well, anyway, it was
a tense time for you, I'm absolutely convinced. We're standing up here in the sun, Ben, so we're going to just wrap this up here. It's a real privilege, I'm sure you'd agree, and everybody listening right now, to welcome a veteran from the 8th Army Air Force to be with us today. Can I please ask you to give a big round of applause for Staff Sergeant Doug Ward of the 8th Army Air Force.
Thank you very much indeed, Colin, and thank you also to Doug Ward. Unfortunately, the Allison-powered Mustang's performance at altitude wasn't up to very much. What was under test here with a unit called the Air Fighting Development Unit, which carried out operational trials on new RAF aircraft. There's a bit about it in the souvenir. Now it's in new ownership, that of Anglia Aircraft Restorations, operated by Air Leasing, and this is its final pass. Wartime 8th Air Flybaby ultralight aircraft. Then we have the Royal Aircraft Factory B2C. And then it'll be R3. And then the two Fokker DR1s, the famed Dreideckers, going up like a veritable lift as ever. But in front of us at the commentary point, firing into life, a Laron, no less of Retrotech, the engineering arm of the Historic Aircraft Collection, because at their premises in Sussex, they do some outstanding work. Officialdom didn't much like the name PUP being applied to this aircraft, so inevitably it stuck. Fighter wasn't a term in use at the time. Scout was the preferred nomenclature. This was managed to force Elliot to land on the beach at Bread End. The PUP was captured intact by the Germans. Elliot survived the war as a prisoner. The aircraft, meanwhile, was flown to New Munster. N6161 were incorporated alongside other original Sopwith factory and period PUP components in the reconstruction of this one by Retrotech. It made its first flight, and names of many great aces are associated with them, the likes of Albert Ball, Mick Mannock, James McCutton and Billy Bishop. More than 5,000 SE5s were built, most of them SE5As. The best thing about the SE5A was that it was a good performer at all altitudes. It was faster than its German rivals, had a very good rate of climb, a strong airframe, and it was agile. These scale replicas were built from drawings supplied by US firm Replica Plans. They're 7/8 scale. And one of them, the SE-5, just passing crowd centre at the moment, is in American markings, specifically those of the 25th Aero Squadron, part of the US Expeditionary Force, which flew SE-5As with the RAF in the late World War I period. And as the pyrotechnics continue to go off, you can imagine here a little of what the actual dogfights of the First World War were like, occurring at very different levels. Dozens of aircraft engaged in close-in tail chases. Today with aircraft like the Typhoon we saw earlier and the Rafale that we'll see later. We talk about beyond visual range combat where pilots can't even see their aerial opponents. Nothing like that in the First World War. It was multiple aircraft circling, climbing, diving, jockeying for position. Their pilots onto their opponents' tails, mainly using the rudder to make turns and get into a good shooting position. It was pretty much as close to hand-to-hand combat of him performing his gyrations throughout this display, supported by his sponsor Air Total and our new sponsor this year, the headset manufacturer Bose. Turning on the proverbial sixpence, cavorting around in front of us. What fun it looks, this Rotorsport Calidus, a tandem two-seater designed in Germany. And it is a fun flying machine, but it's also a practical touring aircraft. Adjustable seats, cabin heater, good amount of space in the cockpit. You can really go places in one of these. No wonder more than 1,000 of them have been sold around the world. So, coming in to take his final bow, do show your appreciation to Peter Troy Davies on the Rotorsport Calidus Autogyro. Thank you very much. Thanks to Peter.
Talking you through today's show. The team is made up of operational frontline crews from the Attack Helicopter Force, based not far from Duxford in Wattisham, Suffolk. All team members serve on frontline squadrons and hold a state of readiness should they be called upon for UK operations overseas. On recovery from the diving fire profile, delivering a successful rocket strike, Jim reacts dynamically to avoid any ground fire, here conducting a 270-degree wing over. Distinctive shape of the aircraft's fire control radar. The radar is able to scan out to 8 kilometres, detecting over 1,000 targets, prioritising them, and offering the pilot 16 simultaneous firing solutions through the aircraft's weapon processors. Along with target detection and missile guidance, the radar is also capable of mapping the terrain ahead of the aircraft in flight to assist in navigation and terrain avoidance at night or in bad weather. On the nose of the aircraft is the target acquisition and designation site.
Bays 1 and 4 are at the front and 2 and 3 at the back, ready to pull into the Manta Loop. This is Ben Murphy's first year leading the team. He's an ex-Red Arrow leader, and he also competes in the Red Bull Air Race Challenger Series. The team are now in card formation. If you haven't already, please do follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Vimeo. There's lots of eye-catching moments for you to take photos of. Cutty's worked really hard to get back here to perform the corkscrew around Blaze 1, 2 and 3 smoke, a new addition to our routine this season. And as they come over the top, they will perform the second break of the display, ready for the fan break. I'm gonna jump in the boat
ET2A. The Jet Provost leading the Strike Master in for a topside pass to begin. Master in towards us on the B axis, coming in for their break, the Strikey Split. And back towards us, with the Strike Master smoking, for another break. Two classic personables, all of them using de Havilland aero engines. Have their own astonishing record in air racing. They're running in now from the right. In Buffalo's directions, the Havilland DH88 Comet leading a pair of Percival Newgarls. A Norseman like this of the US Army Air Force took off from Twinwood Farm in Bedfordshire. Its pilot was Flight Officer John Morgan, and he was flying, pulling up here in line abreast formation. And there's the split. They being the team leader, Richard Grace, we saw him earlier in the Mustang, and the wingman, number 2 of the team, Dave Pulliston. In opposition once more. And in front of us, Richard Grace pulls up inverted, pushover at the top. Very, very good stuff indeed. They'll both be positioning now to land. Sides of the rear fuselage of this aeroplane. And which I can tell you give a magnificent heroic exploits by Catalina crews of all the nations that operate.
Nose held off, just to protect that nose gear. You normally see vintage aeroplanes holding the tail off. This is exactly the same principle, but in reverse.
And flown today by Derek Head, a former RAF Andover and Hercules transport pilot, recently retired from a career in the airlines, and the co-pilot today was Jeff Boiling. The aircraft operated by Plain Sailing and owned by a group of 20... So, Rafale C. Out of his 3,300 total flying hours, and indicating how active these aircraft have been on operations like many of today's generation of fast jets. He's completed 73 combat sorties. The engine's a pair of Snecma M88. Site today, all traffic will be directed east on the A505, and then you'll be able to go both north and south on the M11 at the next exit. We realise that this will cause departing the airfield as well to see the two Spitfire 1As on the break to bring to a close the flying programme here at the Duxford Air Festival 2017 UV, which are those of number 19 Squadron, because Spitfire N3200 is a restoration of an aircraft that served with that unit based at Duxford in early 1940. And here comes the second aircraft. A very elegant performance was flown for us by John Romain in the lead aircraft, and following him was Pete Kinsey, the chief pilot of the fighter collection, and that brings the flying programme to a close, but we've got quite a lot of aircraft getting ready to depart. We've got the Dragonfly, which has already taxied out. That needs to get back to its base at Biggin Hill. We've then got the Jet Provost and Strike Master. The Apache looks as though it's being prepared to go out as well. But as the final act, the two Spitfires taxi in back to their parking spots. We'll be seeing plenty more of those at IWM Duxford at the other two air shows staged here this year on the 8th and 9th of July, the Flying Legends Air Show, the Fighter Collection's annual Warbird Spectacular here with a magnificent display of historic aircraft. Plus, on the Sunday only, the Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team, the Red Arrows, making their only Duxford appearance of the season. And then, in September 23rd, 24th, we've got the